Investiture of the Gods, Chapter 18.
The chapter kicks off with King Zhu. You may remember him from our previous dives. And he's heavily under the sway of his consort, Daji.
Daji, always a key player.
Definitely. And they're planning this massive, almost unbelievable architectural project. The Deer Terrace, Lutai.
Which sounds grand, but given the state of the kingdom.
Right. You have to wonder, how could he even justify it? Was he just blind, or was something else going on?
Well, the text paints quite a picture. It's soaring 49 feet high.
49 feet.
Yeah. Adorned with jade palaces, splendid halls, emerald balustrades, carved railings, agate. Railings made of agate.
Wow.
And beams literally decorated with pearls and jade. It's pure luxury. Unbelievable extravagance.
So not exactly essential infrastructure, though.
Not even close. It's a personal pleasure palace, a monument to his own indulgence and, well, Daji's influence. It's hubris made physical, really.
You can just picture it. Pure pleasure. So King Zhu, totally sold on this, asks his minister, Jiang, also called Ziya, for a timeline.
And Ziya doesn't sugarcoat it.
Not at all. His answer is immediate, stark, sobering. He says it would take, get this, no less than 35 years to complete.
35 years.
I know. And King Zhu apparently is initially a bit daunted, which suggests, maybe a tiny flicker of awareness.
A flicker, maybe, but Daji snuffs it out fast.
Instantly.
And she doesn't just dismiss Ziya's honest calculation, she twists it. She calls it slanderous words.
Right.
Accuses him of being wildly arrogant and deceiving the ruler. It's pure manipulation.
And then she immediately calls for his execution by Po Luo.
Exactly, that horrific torture method with the heated bronze pillar. It's chilling. It shows how quickly truth gets silenced when power wants its own reality.
It's terrifying. But Ziya, he doesn't back down, does he?
Amazingly, no. He stands his ground, doesn't beg. Instead, he just launches into this blistering critique of King Zhu's whole reign.
It's incredible courage. Or madness, maybe.
Maybe a bit of both. He argues the Deer Terrace would waste resources and exhaust the people.
Which sounds completely logical.
Especially since the kingdom's already facing crises. He spells it out. Wars everywhere, droughts, floods, empty treasuries, people's lives getting harder and harder, shrinking, as the text says.
He's painting a bleak picture.
Bleak and accurate, and then he gets personal. He directly challenges the king's morals.
Oh, really? How so?
Accuses him, flat out. Daily indulging in wine and women, shunning the wise, embracing sycophants, misgoverning the nation, and killing loyal subjects. He doesn't hold back.
Wow, that's direct.
And he warns the kingdom will soon belong to others. He even brings up history, like the failure of building a similar jade palace in the past. He's telling the king, you're making the same disastrous mistakes, morally and financially.
He's basically challenging the king's entire right to rule.
Precisely. It's a fundamental challenge.
And King Zhu's reaction? Predictable, I guess.
Utter fury explodes. Scoundrel, how dare you slander the Son of Heaven? The usual response of someone cocooned in flattery.
And he orders him captured.
And worse, to be chopped into minced meat and fine powder, just horrific. Shows how little he can handle any criticism.
But here's where it gets even stranger, right? Ziya doesn't just get executed.
No, this is fascinating. Ziya, facing certain gruesome death, performs a shridun, a water escape, right there at the Nine Dragon Bridge.
He vanishes into the water.
Poof, gone. And King Zhu, he's angry, sure, but the text says he's also sort of amused.
Amused, after someone just magically escaped execution.
Yeah. He dismissively says, good riddance to that old scoundrel.
Yeah.
It's chilling, that amusement. It shows how detached he is. Even a miracle is just a curiosity.
Utterly disconnected from the seriousness of it all.
Completely. And Daji, of course, sees her chance, immediately recommends someone else, Changhuhu, to build the Deer Terrace, project back on track.
Unbelievable. So, Ziya's gone. You'd think that would be the end of any descent.
You would think, but then another figure steps up, Grand Master Yang Ren.
Right. Yang Ren. He hears about Ziya's supposed death and the Deer Terrace plan from an attendant.
And that conversation is key. The attendant's words really hit Yang Ren hard.
What does the attendant say?
He says, your subordinate sees that the emperor's actions are those of King Ji. King Ji being one of China's most infamous tyrants and cannot bear to see the nation ruined.
Comparing him to King Ji, that's a heavy accusation.
It's incredibly serious. It frames the situation not just as bad policy, but as deep moral decay. And that moral plea, that sense of duty, seems to be what pushes Yang Ren to act despite the obvious danger.
So he confronts the king too, knowing what happened to Ziya.
He does. bravely steps forward. His arguments echo Ziya's about the wastefulness of the terrace, but he goes deeper, lays out the whole dire state of the kingdom in more detail.
How so?
He urges the king to be a wise ruler with upright ministers and points directly at Daji's influence, warning him not to be swayed by the words of the empress or consort.
Takes guts to say that directly.
Absolutely. And then he gives this, strategic breakdown. He calls it the 3 harms outside, 1 harm inside.
Okay, what are the harms?
The external ones are serious threats. First, East Duke Jiang Wenheng, leading 1 million soldiers, seeking revenge for his father, bogged down fighting at Yuhun Pass for 3 years, draining resources.
Okay, one major front tied up.
Second, South Duke Yishan, also seeking revenge for his father, endlessly attacking Sanshan Pass. Again, empty treasuries, people losing hope.
Another resource drain.
And third, the Grand Preceptor Wen Zong. He's been off fighting in the North Sea for over 10 years, victory uncertain, leaving the kingdom exposed.
Wow. So the borders are stretched incredibly thin. What's the 1 harm inside?
That's the kicker. It's King Zhu himself. His actions.
Ah.
Yang Ren accuses him, believing the empress's words, not listening to loyal advice, favoring fox-like flattery, ignoring honest counsel, letting petty men get close while gentlemen retreat.
So the internal harm is the corruption and incompetence at the very top, fueled by the king's own choices.
Exactly. It's a picture of systemic rot originating from the leader. He's saying the king's personal failings are literally destroying the government.
And then he hits him with that proverb, right?
Oh, yeah. The ultimate warning. When the people revolt, the nation is broken. When the nation is broken, the ruler perishes. He's basically saying, this path leads to your doom.
He even mentions the dynasty itself.
Yes, the 600-year-old dynasty will suddenly be captured by others. He's telling the king he's throwing away his entire legacy, everything his ancestors built. For what? A fancy terrace.
It's such a powerful, comprehensive indictment. He's connecting all the dots for the king.
He really is, showing how the king's personal indulgence and self-delusion are directly leading to national catastrophe. It's about the mandate of heaven, really. He's arguing the king is losing it.
And King Zhu's reaction this time, even worse than with Ziya.
Oh, much worse. The cruelty escalates. He calls Yang Ren a Pifu scoundrel again, but also a mere scholar, dismissing his wisdom, and then orders his eyes gouged out.
Gouged out, just horrific.
It shows a terrifying spiral. He can't tolerate any challenge to his reality now. Only violence works.
But Yang Ren, even then, he says something significant, doesn't he?
He does. Even as they're taking his eyes, he says something like, I don't refuse this, but I fear the lords of the realm won't bear the suffering of my gouged eyes.
What does that mean?
It's not just loyalty. It's a threat, almost. He's saying, my suffering won't be ignored. This act of cruelty will have consequences beyond me. It will stir others. He's making his sacrifice a political statement.
Weaponizing his own mutilation. That's intense.
It is. And then comes another bizarre supernatural event.
The Vanishing Act.
Exactly. Yang Ren's resentful spirit, his yuanqi, apparently attracts divine attention. True Lord Kingsu Deodes sends these yellow-turbaned strongmen.
Okay.
And this divine wind, 3 gusts of divine wind sweeps through the tower, and Yang Ren's body just disappears.
Gone. Like Ziya. But even more dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So now King Zhu must react, surely. A body vanishing in divine wind.
You'd think, but his reaction is perhaps the most disturbing part of the whole chapter.
What does he say?
He basically shrugs it off. Such things are common, nothing to be surprised about.
Common. Miraculous disappearances are common.
According to King Zhu, yeah, he's completely unfazed, still obsessed with the deer terrace, just reconfirms the order for Chonghu to get building.
That's almost pathological. Complete detachment from reality, even from the supernatural signs right in front of him.
It confirms his total isolation inside his own delusion. He literally cannot see the warnings, even when they're written in wind and vanishing bodies.
Wow.
Yang Ren, he's been, horribly punished for being loyal. His eyes were gouged out. It's brutal.
A horrific start, yeah. But his story takes this almost unbelievable turn.
Right. So his body somehow gets taken to the Purple Yang Cave, and this powerful being, the moral true monarch, steps in.
And this is where it gets really wild. The true monarch does something miraculous. He takes 2 immortal pills.
And puts them right into Yang Ren's empty eye sockets.
Exactly. Then he breathes this immortal true K onto his face.
Yeah.
And basically tells him to get up.
And the result, it's just astonishing, like straight out of mythology.
From the empty sockets, 2 hands grow out.
Fans. And inside the palms.
2 new eyes appear.
Wow. And these aren't just regular eyes, are they?
No, not at all. The text says they can see everything, heaven, earth, all human affairs. It's this total shift from blindness and mutilation to, well, unparalleled vision.
It's such a vivid image, almost grotesque in a way. But what's the deeper meaning here? Is it just divine magic showing off?
Well, that's what's so fascinating. It's not just magic for magic's sake. The true monarch is explicit about why he saved him. He says it's because of Yang Ren's loyal heart and red gall, because he stood up to King Zhu, spoke truth to power.
And because he cared about the common people.
Precisely. So it highlights this core theme in the book: divine justice rewarding real integrity, moral uprightness.
So the suffering wasn't the end point.
No, it was more like a test or a transition. The text even says his lifespan was not meant to end. Destiny, preordination, it's all in there.
So it's like a physical rebirth, but also a spiritual one.
Yeah.
Fated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Yang Ren is incredibly grateful, naturally. He immediately asks to become the true monarch's disciple.
And accepts his future role, right?
Yeah.
To help out later with King Wu and Jiang Ziya.
Yes, he accepts his destiny. It really makes you think, doesn't it? If loyalty like that gets rewarded so dramatically, what does that tell us about the values this story promotes?
That's a great point. It suggests that maybe even when human rulers are awful, there's some higher force that can step in, restore balance, empower the virtuous. So we've seen divine justice with Yang Ren. But then how does King Zhu's world, the mortal world, stack up against that? What's happening down there?
Well, the story pivots sharply, doesn't it? From that divine intervention straight back to the harsh reality under King Zhu.
And his big, terrible project, the Deer Terrace.
Exactly. This isn't just building a palace. The text calls it a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
Needs boundless money and boundless labor.
Boundless. That sounds ominous. How did they get the labor?
Horribly. The decree was basically 3 out of every 2 adult men get drafted. And if you were a single man, you had to go.
3 out of 2. That doesn't even make sense. It sounds like grabbing everyone.
It basically was total disruption. And then there's the social injustice baked in.
The rich could buy their way out.
You guessed it. Pay a fee, avoid service. But the poor, they were forced to work until they literally dropped dead from exhaustion.
So life itself was just another commodity for the rich. It's sickening.
It vividly portrays just how oppressive and tyrannical King Zhu's rule had become. The Deer Terrace isn't just a building.
No, it's a symbol.
A horrifying symbol of his complete disregard for his people. Their lives, their well-being, meant nothing next to his desires. It's a monument built on suffering.
What was the human cost? Does the text spell it out?
Oh, yes. Chillingly clear. People were terrified, restless day and night. Men and women frantic. Soldiers and civilians full of resentment.
Society breaking down.
Totally. It says every family shutting their doors, fleeing in all directions. People were desperate.
And the supervisor, you mentioned him before, Chang Hu.
Yes, Marquis Chang Hu, noted for his brutality. The text says, countless old and young who died from exhaustion, all filling the Deer Terrace.
Filling it, you mean? Their bodies.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
It's not just a metaphor. It suggests the foundations, the fill, were literally made of the dead. A mass grave for a king's vanity project.
That is truly haunting. Just unimaginable cruelty. It's not just tyranny. It feels like societal collapse.
It really does. It pushes people beyond any reasonable limit.
So what does this awful project mean for King Zhu's reign, looking ahead? How does something like this affect his legitimacy?
That's a really sharp question. A project like this, so destructive, it's a direct attack on any idea of a social contract, isn't it?
Yeah, he's supposed to protect his people, not work them to death for a fancy building.
Exactly. By demanding this impossible labor, showing zero compassion, he's not just building a terrace, he's tearing down his own kingdom from the inside.
It shows his rule is just about raw power and pleasure now.
Completely. A total loss of moral authority. It basically invites rebellion, sets the stage for his downfall. For listeners, it might make you think about how corrupted power often ends up destroying its own foundations.
The contrast is just so stark. Divine justice rewarding Yang Ren with superpowers for loyalty, and then earthly injustice under Zhu, where loyalty gets you punished and hard work gets you killed.
2 totally different realities playing out side by side.
So where does someone with principles, with integrity, fit into all this chaos?
Well, that brings us right to Jiang Ziya. He's just come home after a very short time as an official.
Right, he had a government job, briefly.
And he tells his wife, Ma Shi, that he's not doing it anymore. He's out, which is, a pretty big deal for them.
Why did he leave? What was his reason?
His reason is crystal clear. and it's all about principle. He was ordered to supervise the Deer Terrace construction.
The death project.
The very one. And he says he just couldn't bear the suffering of the people. He couldn't be part of it.
So he complained to the king.
He remonstrated, yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to argue against it, and King Zhu, predictably, flew into a rage and fired him on the spot.
Wow. He changed his conscience over his career. What does that tell us about Jiang Ziya?
Well, it raises that exact question, doesn't it? It shows this unwavering integrity. He absolutely refused to compromise his values, even knowing it would cost him his job, his livelihood.
He basically said King Zhu wasn't his real boss.
Exactly. He declared, King Zhu is not my true master.
Hmm.
That signals he answers to something higher, a moral code, not just the guy on the throne. He's got this strong internal compass.
Okay, so he's principled, takes a stand, but now he's unemployed, yet he seems incredibly confident about the future.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable. Despite being dismissed, having nothing lined up, he has this powerful vision, almost prophetic.
He says he's going to Shiki.
Yes, and not just going there, but he foresees achieving high office, becoming the foremost official. He truly believes in his own true learning and talent.
He's talking like a future prime minister when he doesn't even have a job. Where does that confidence come from?
It seems rooted in this profound belief in destiny. He says things like, heaven's number is fixed, the time is set, each has their own master.
So he thinks it's all preordained.
It seems so. He's looking way beyond the current mess, seeing this grand cosmic plan unfolding. And he trusts it completely. It's a kind of faith, really, that sets him apart. Most people would just despair in his situation.
Yeah, I probably would. It makes you wonder, how much do you trust your own destiny versus just dealing with what's right in front of you?
And that's exactly where the conflict comes in. Because his wife, Ma Shi, she's firmly planted in what's right in front of her.
Right. Her reaction to his grand plans is not supportive.
Not even close. Swift, sharp, and incredibly pragmatic. She basically laughs in his face, scoffs at his ambitions.
Ouch. So definitely no shared vision there.
None at all. She calls him a wandering sorcerer, says he's not from a proper family, that getting the official post in the first place was just dumb luck.
Wow. Harsh.
And she saw a Deer Terrace job completely differently, not as a moral crisis, but as a favor, a chance to make some money.
So she thinks he threw away a golden opportunity.
Exactly. She calls his talk about future glory untimely words. Like, why ditch a job you already had, even if you couldn't hold on to it, to go chasing some fantasy elsewhere? To her, it's abandoning a sure thing, however small, for absolute pie-in-the-sky desperation.
It sounds less like she doesn't believe in him and more like they just have totally opposite ways of looking at the world.
That's precisely it. It's this profound clash of worldviews. Ma Shi is all about the here and now, grounded, practical, almost survivalist. Security, tangible benefits, what you can hold in your hand today.
While Jiang Ziya is all about
Idealism, long-term vision, belief in destiny and his own worth that goes way beyond money or status, their basic understanding of success, of purpose, worlds apart.
her view isn't necessarily wrong, is it? Just different, focused on reality.
Completely. She's looking at the facts on the ground. He's looking at a future only he can see.
So it's a classic conflict. Does he try to convince her?
He does. He tries to bridge that gap, promises her unlimited wealth and high office once they get to Shiki, says she'll be a first-rank lady.
Trying to sell her the dream.
Yeah. And he even uses this analogy. If you marry a chicken, why not follow the chicken? Basically saying, you're my wife, you should follow me, share my destiny.
How does that go down?
Like a lead balloon. Ma Shi is completely unmoved, totally unyielding. She says she was born in charge, she's staying in charge, she's not going off to some foreign land.
She doesn't just disagree, she wants out.
Yes. She demands a divorce letter. Right then and there. Tells him, you go your way, I'll go mine. Her mind is absolutely made up.
Wow.
And she even says something like, my fate is only thus. I cannot bear such great fortune. It's like she thinks his ambition is crazy, maybe even dangerous, and she wants no part of that kind of life. That's almost this declaration of self-limitation, maybe, or just realism.
It's quite a moment of independence for her, in a way.
Yeah.
Sticking to her guns.
It really is. The argument gets heated, apparently, until Jiang Ziya's sworn brother, Song Yiren, and his wife step in.
The friends try to mediate.
Yeah, and Song Yiren shows some real wisdom here. He advises Jiang Ziya, basically tells him to just write the divorce letter. He says, A heart that is gone is hard to keep.
Wise words, recognizing when something is truly broken.
Right. You can't force someone to share a vision they just don't see or want.
So Jiang does it. He writes the letter.
Reluctantly. Heavy-hearted, the text says. He writes it, holds it out, maybe giving her one last chance, a final moment to reconsider.
And she
takes it immediately, without the slightest trace of attachment. Just like that. Done. It's incredibly stark. Heartbreaking, really.
Absolute finality.
Yeah. And then Jiang utters that really famous, poignant line, often quoted.
What does he say?
He laments, green bamboo, snake's mouth, hornet's tail stinger. Both of these are tolerable, but most poisonous is a woman's heart.
Oof. That's intense, bitter.
It is. It's harsh. It's the cry of a man whose world has just been shattered personally. Maybe reflects his pain, maybe a bit of misogyny born from that hurt, but it's become iconic.
More than just a personal tragedy, though. What does it symbolize?
Well, it starkly illustrates the sacrifices sometimes required for a grand destiny, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The human cost when paths diverge so radically. It really pushes you, the listener, to think about the price of ambition. Can all relationships survive when one person aims for the stars and the other just wants solid ground?
Can they? That's a tough question.
It really is.
So, the divorce happens. Ma Shi leaves.
Yep. Gathers her things, leaves to live independently. A very pragmatic, maybe cold end to a marriage that just couldn't find common ground. Jiang is now really on his own.
Completely alone in pursuing this grand vision.
And so, he prepares for his journey. But first, he shares this poignant farewell with Song Yiren and his wife, thanks them for their kindness, their support.
A moment of gratitude before stepping into the unknown.
And Song Yiren's loyalty here really stands out, doesn't it? Especially compared to Ma Shi.
How so?
Well, he didn't just give good advice. He hosts a farewell feast for Jiang, walks with him for a bit as he leaves, asks him to send word if he succeeds.
That's true friendship, unconditional support.
Exactly. It highlights the value of that kind of bond, especially when other relationships crumble under pressure.
So, Jiang sets off. What are his final words before he leaves Chaosh?
His final declaration is quiet, but full of resolve. He just says, I leave my brother to Shiki to do some business.
Do some business. Understated, given his grand vision.
Right. But it marks this huge turning point. He's fully committed now. He's shed his old life, his old attachments. He's on the path.
Jiang he just left a place called Songjiazhuang. He's traveling, a long, dusty path. Crosses the Yellow River at Mengjin, goes through Mianqi County, heading towards Lintong Pass. You can almost picture him, right? On this tough journey, totally alone. But that solitude doesn't last. It's shattered by a truly devastating sight. He comes across this huge group of people fleeing. The text says 700 to 800 refugees from Chaosh, the capital. And the scene, wow, it's just overwhelming grief and desperation. It's described as fathers carrying sons, brothers mourning brothers, weeping couples. I mean, the cries of men and women just filling the roads. This isn't just a few people running away. It's this massive outpouring of collective sorrow.
And it's not random, this exodus. It's absolutely a direct result, a devastating consequence of King Zu's tyrannical rule, specifically his huge, extravagant construction project, the Lutai, or Deer Terrace. Our sources, they detail these horrific conditions under the supervisor, a guy named Chonggu Hu. The labor policy was just brutally unfair. It was like 3 out of 2 families, 2 conscripted. From a single-person household, 1 must serve. Just imagine. But of course, the rich, well, they could buy their way out, just pay a bribe, leaving the poor, the vulnerable, to suffer. And the human cost, it was immense. The text mentions tens of thousands of laborers dying, their bodies literally filling the area beneath Lutai. It's a stark illustration of how unchecked power, corruption, just leads to widespread human catastrophe.
So these people aren't just fleeing, like you said, they're escaping a death sentence. Forced labor, only to hit another wall, basically. General Zhang Feng at Lintong Pass refuses them passage, blocks away, and their terror is immediate, and it's completely justified. Because if they're caught, sent back, they face the cruelest tortures the regime has, things called the fire grill and snake pit. Just chilling. It reminds you of the utter lack of mercy under King Zu. You have to wonder, right? What does that feel like? Trapped between certain death back there and this unyielding, militarized gate right in front of you. So Jiang sees all this as a profound suffering. And some refugees actually recognize him, calling him Jiang Lawai, It's like an honorific, for a respected elder. He's deeply moved. And he promises, right then and there, to speak to General Zhang for them. It's an act of pure, selfless compassion, really. He leaves his few belongings with the crowd, this desperate crowd, and goes completely alone to face the general. He makes his way to Jiang Feng's headquarters. The first interaction is quite formal. Jiang Ziya identifies himself properly. Grand Counselor Jiang Sheng, pointing to his former high rank in the capital.
Right, a civil official.
Exactly. And Zhang Feng, even though he's military, he initially shows, a degree of respect for someone who held that kind of position near the court.
Yeah, but then Jiang Ziya, even though he's dressed as a Taoist, he lays out this incredibly powerful, reasoned case. He talks about King Zhu's unclear rule, how he's swayed by the infamous concubine Daji, leading to this whole crisis. He details the extravagant construction of Lutai, Chongguhu's tyranny and greed, his total disregard for human life, for the nation's well-being. Jiang Ziya even brings up signs from heaven like uneven water and drought, arguing that the world has lost hope, like cosmic disapproval.
Wow.
He even explains his own story, how he tried to advise the king honestly, to straighten the king, and the king tried to punish him for it, which is why he's on this journey.
Yeah.
And his plea, it's heartfelt, warning Zhang Feng about the cruel punishments, these awful tortures the refugees will face if they're sent back. But Zhang Feng's reaction, it's just rigid, furious rejection. He basically dismisses Jiang Ziya as a Jiang Huti, which is like an itinerant sorcerer or charlatan,
Right.
accuses him of trying to deceive him.
Unbelievable.
Zhang Feng just digs in his heels, defending his duty to the king. He calls the refugees disloyal, escapees, basically. Says his job is to uphold the law, period. He even threatens to arrest Jiang Ziya for breaking national law, but then says, oh, well, since it's their first meeting, he'll let him go. Tells his guards to fork out Jiang Ziya. Just push him out. A really humiliating dismissal. And this moment, it really highlights that classic tension, doesn't it? Between this unbending adherence to what you see as duty and the call of basic human compassion.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jiang Ziya is just unceremoniously shoved out. And the reaction from the crowd, the wailing and bitter cries of those 700 or 800 people, the text says their cries filled the area. It's just soul-crushing. They're trapped again. And it makes you ask, right, when do rules become so inhumane they have to be defied? And what does it really take for one person to stand up against a system that powerful? So seeing this renewed despair, this absolute bottoming out of hope, Jiang Ziya, he just can't bear it. And he makes this new, completely astonishing promise. I will escort you out of the 5 passes. I mean, think about it. It's an unbelievable claim given these seemingly impenetrable military checkpoints they face. And then he gives them these very specific, almost mystical instructions. He says, when dusk falls, I will tell you to close your eyes and you must close them. If you hear wind in your ears, do not open them.
Yeah.
And then the warning, if you open your eyes, your brains will fall out and do not blame me.
Wow, intense.
Yeah, it's charged with both this fantastical possibility and a really serious threat. It demands absolute blind trust.
And then you get this truly remarkable moment. Magic, maybe. Divine intervention. It unfolds right there. At the first watch of the night, Jiang Ziya prayed to Kunlun Mountain, a really sacred Taoist place. He chanted, the text says Hinon, which just means he muttered incantations. And then, with a sound just like that, he uses the earth escape technique, Pinon.
Earth escape.
Yeah. And this incredible feat lets him magically transport. Well, the text shifts here. It actually mentions thousands of people, not just the initial hundreds.
Thousands, okay.
Which maybe suggests more join them, or it's emphasizing the scale. But the point is, this fantastical element, it sort of underscores the idea that certain moral acts, certain imperatives can maybe invoke powers beyond normal human understanding. And during this magical journey, the people, they only heard the rustling sound of wind in their ears, exactly like he told them.
Just the wind.
And in an astonishingly short time, they traveled 400 line. That's a traditional Chinese unit, roughly. What, 125 miles, give or take?
Incredible distance.
All while their eyes were closed, carried by this, well, this mystical force.
And just like that, poof. From the absolute depths of despair, they've magically bypassed not just Lintong Pass, but 4 other major checkpoints. Tong Pass, Tuanyun Pass, Jipai Pass, Sisui Pass, delivered completely from danger. Their landing spot is Jinjiling Golden Rooster Ridge, which is outside Sisui Pass. And Jiang Ziya confirms, yes, this is Shiki territory. They've made it.
Amazing.
The people's gratitude, it's overwhelming. They praise his heavenly grace, his universal salvation. This miraculous rescue, it really seems to highlight that in these stories of overwhelming injustice, sometimes the intervention of a higher benevolent power represents, the ultimate triumph of what's right. So once these refugees actually reach Shiki City, the capital of this new territory, the contrast with King Zu's tyranny, it's just night and day, absolutely striking. Shiki is described as a land of abundant people and rich resources. It paints this picture of order, kindness. It's almost utopian, really. Pedestrians yielding the way, no bullying of old or young, courteous marketplaces. The text literally calls it a golden age like Yao and Shun, referencing these legendary ancient sage emperors whose reigns were seen as the absolute pinnacle of peace and good rule. It's a completely different world from the suffering they just escaped.
And this prosperity, this order in Shiki, it's not just luck. It's presented as a direct result of truly benevolent governance, good leadership. The source details the immediate and, frankly, incredibly generous response from Bo Yikao. He's King Wen's son, acting ruler while his father's imprisoned. So after Grand Counselor San Yusheng gets the refugees petition, the help flows instantly. And it wasn't just like basic charity. They gave money for unmarried people to find spouses.
Wow, really?
Yeah, funds for housing rental to help them settle, and crucial food rations for the most vulnerable, the widowed, the lonely, the childless, from a special state granary called Senjikang. It shows this really holistic, compassionate, deeply responsible approach to leadership, actively building a society where people can actually thrive.
But then the narrative shifts focus again, doesn't it? It brings us to Bo Yikao's own personal struggle. His father, King Wen, the actual ruler of Shiki, has been unjustly imprisoned back in Chaozh in a place called Yuli for 7 years.
7 long years.
And Bo Yikao feels this immense filial guilt. That's such a powerful cultural value, right? Duty to your parents. So he makes this bold, frankly dangerous decision. He insists he must go to Chaozh himself to atone for his father's sins, as he puts it. He plans to take these 3 ancestral treasures, priceless heirlooms, as a tribute, hoping it'll secure his father's release.
And this raises a really profound question, I think, about the conflict between that deeply felt personal duty, filial piety, and maybe strategic common sense. San Yusheng, who's always the voice of caution and wisdom in these stories, he advises against this rash journey.
Yeah, he tries to talk him out of it.
He reminds Bo Yikao of King Wen's own prophecy. King Wen apparently predicted he'd return after 7 years of calamity were over, suggesting they should just be patient. San Yusheng even suggests, hey, let's just send a soldier first, check on the king's well-being.
A reasonable idea.
But Bo Yikao, he's absolutely adamant. He feels his position is meaningless, empty, if he doesn't personally act to save his father. His conviction, while it's noble in its intent, definitely sets the stage for a dramatic and, frankly, uncertain future. It really embodies the immense personal cost that can sometimes come with leadership.
Yeah. And so this part of the story leaves us hanging, right? With this ominous note of uncertainty about Bo Yikao's fate. It just underscores how these high personal stakes are so deeply intertwined with the destiny of whole nations. So let's recap a bit. What does this all mean? We've seen the absolutely devastating impact of tyranny. We've seen the sheer power of individual compassion. And yeah, a dash of magic.
Quite a dash.
Right. Then the stark contrast of benevolent governance actually thriving in Shiki. And finally, this deeply personal sacrifice being weighed for family, for kingdom. It's been quite a journey across this ancient landscape.
Yeah, and a really compelling aspect, especially hinted at by a poem at the end of this section in the original text, is Jiang Ziya's future. You know, how he's destined to wait patiently by the Wei River, eventually meet a wise ruler, King Wen, spoiler alert, and help establish the Zhou dynasty, which would last for 800 years.
An incredible legacy.